From Samir Ait Sayed's gravity-defying routine that ended in a loud crack to Sam Serio's fall that went viral in 2019 and gave her the rarest injuries. Here are times when gymnasts ate the mat hard, starting with a sound that was heard all through the stadium. At Rio 2016, Frenchman Samir Ait Sayed put up a standout vault routine. Unfortunately, it's remembered for all the wrong reasons. Everything was going so smoothly until the entire audience heard a snap. As he lay on the mat and collected himself, Saeed's lower leg dangled from the knee at an extremely uncomfortable angle. Everyone's fears were confirmed. His left leg broke upon landing after a gravity-defying routine. Saeed had shattered his tibia and fibula, the two bones in the lower leg. Worst part, it wasn't even the first time this happened to the poor guy. The Frenchman also missed the 2012 Olympics because of a damaged tibia in his right leg a few years before. And guess what? He got injured on the same vault that time as well. Samir struck the vault hard, and as he plummeted to the ground, his left leg crumpled beneath him and hung limp below the knee. Before being brought to the hospital after receiving medical attention, Ait Sayed was able to lift one arm to acknowledge the applause and support of the crowd. But as he was being carried out of the arena, one end of his stretcher was dropped, literally adding insult to the already terrible injury. Despite a challenging recovery from multiple compound fractures and the tragic passing of his father in 2019, it took him a year of intense physiotherapy to make a comeback. And now he has his sights set on Paris 2024. Saeed's ordeal reminds me of another vault injury, one that only kept getting worse. Yep, I'm talking about Rebecca Bross's knee injury in 2011. Bross suffered a knee injury on a vault landing at the 2011 Visa Championships, and it was a horrifying sight. The whole thing was literally a recipe for disaster from the get-go, because she not only under-rotated the vault, but also continued to twist as she landed the feat. Bross's injury forced her to miss the rest of the 2011 season, and it probably affected her performance at the 2012 Olympic trials, when she was unsuccessful in making the team. Fans of Rebecca Bross found this especially upsetting, because Bross competed in gymnastics at the Olympic trials for the last time, and the dislocation of her knee in 2011 hugely contributed to the end of her career. Timing is truly everything. While Rebecca was out recuperating, newer gymnasts took her place, and it was never the same. The same can be said for everyone's fave, Simone Biles, who had an unfortunate case of the twisties. When a petrifying vault went wrong, she withdrew from the team finals. Nobody understood what had just happened, but Biles was lucky to avoid major injury, as we all found out later. She attempted to perform a 2.5 twist vault during the opening rotation of Tokyo 2020, but she looked like she changed her mind on the move halfway through, seeming confused and dazed as she flipped in the air. Instead, she made 1.5 twists and almost toppled as she landed. With a score of 13.766, the vault received the lowest rating of the rotation, which was significantly lower than her average rating of 16.050 for the same event at the previous Olympics. Later, it was revealed that Biles wouldn't be competing in the individual all-around final, an event for which she'd qualified in first place and was considered the odds-on favorite to win. The reason? Biles told reporters that she'd been having a little bit of the twisties, a word for a mental block that can strike suddenly and cause a gymnast to lose track of where they are in the air. They lose sense of direction or do an extra twist. Gymnasts that have this block while flipping and twirling in the air become oblivious to their surroundings and are unable to locate the ground and safely land. The fact that Simone did a shaky tumble was literally her skill showing, even at such a critical time, because according to seasoned gymnasts, anyone else in her place would have broken a leg at minimum and become paralyzed at maximum. Scary to think about, isn't it? In fact, a former gymnast knew the look in Biles' eyes a little too well. The majority of the world was shocked when Simone Biles pulled out of the Olympic women's gymnastics team, but Jacoby Miles simply felt relief as she bailed on her vault, stopping earlier than she intended to and just managing to land safely. Miles was able to recognize the dazed look in Simone's eyes because she'd experienced it as well. Yep, Miles had also gone through the twisties. She'd also given up on a skill by stopping earlier than she had intended to. The worst part is, Jacoby didn't land safely. Instead, she fell on her neck and got paralyzed from the neck down. Only 15 at the time, the competitive gymnast from Washington approached the uneven bars. Ironically, to rehearse a technique she'd successfully executed 1,000 times. She later revealed to her instructor, Melanie Roach, that while she spun through the air, she recalled getting lost before finishing her second flip. Miles fell on her neck from disorientation, with only an 8-inch mat to break her fall. When she was brought to St. Joseph Hospital in Tacoma, a scan revealed that her C4 vertebrae had been dislocated but not broken. So even though there was still a chance of recovery, doctors cautioned the family that it would take a miracle for her to be able to use her legs again. And unfortunately, something similar also happened with Kara Aker. She lost her balance while on her beam mount during the event finals at the 2018 World Championships. She only competed on beam in the team final, where she'd earned the team's highest score. And yet, she lost her balance during event finals, which made her fall all the more devastating. It's impossible to not feel her dissatisfaction when seeing a video replay of the routine. You can see her standing next to the beam after falling and attempting to mentally prepare to finish the program. Oh, my heart. Not only are such falls devastating, but sometimes they're the only thing that keeps you from winning. Like Maddie Larson's bad luck on the floor at the 2010 World Championships meant no first place for the US. For Larson, who was at the height of her career in 2010, the floor was always a strong event. She won the competition in the 2010 US Nationals, and it was anticipated that she'd do strong routines on the floor at the 2010 World Championships. But alas, she stumbled during qualification, under-rotating a double layout to her knees on her first pass. Despite how unfortunate this sudden change of events was, she avoided injury and was still able to do the performance well. But then, she stumbled once more during the team finals competition, this time on her final pass, a double pipe. As a result, the US finished second at the World Championships that year, in part as a result of her expensive falls. It's hard to live that down, huh? Even harder to live down is a near-perfect routine messed up by a fall, landing you straight in third place. Of course, I'm talking about Beth Tweddle. Going into the 2012 Olympics, she was renowned for her consistently great bar work, and she wanted to finish on the podium in the event finals. On bars that day, Tweddle still won a medal and claimed the bronze, but the part that got her fans disappointed the most was the fact that her routine was almost perfect up to the landing, when she tripped backwards and took 2 steps, which cost her a higher position on the podium. And still, you can't help but experience a gut-wrenching blow when rewatching this routine, knowing how it ends. Surprisingly, Beth doesn't feel so strongly about it, and claims she's more than happy with her third-place position. The things we do to avoid feeling crushing defeat. Speaking of crushing defeat, you probably recognize the name Sam Serio if you had access to social media in 2019. It's a shame that the former Auburn gymnast's most well-known accomplishment is the awful injury she sustained. It was during her floor routine at the 2019 Baton Rouge Regional Championships. In April 2019, Serio suffered a tragic fall that left her with 2 dislocated knees, 1 fractured leg, and numerous damaged ligaments. She made an awkward landing after a handspring and double front while performing a floor pass, 2 moves that require a blind landing. What's worse, her severe fall was captured, and it actually went viral. It got to the point that Serio's friends and relatives begged people to stop sharing the video because it made her relive the accident that rendered her unable to walk without support for months. In fact, it was so bad that medical professionals came out to talk about how rare the injury is. Her landing sent the force of the ground through the backs of her knees rather than going up, and it was all due to a 1-degree under rotation. The doctor who worked with her claimed that in his 45 years of experience, he'd never seen this happen. So, from Sam Serio's fall that went viral in 2019 and gave her the most rare injuries, to Samir Ait Sayed's gravity-defying routine that ended in a loud crack. These were the times gymnasts ate the mat hard.